When we started this module, we first looked at the definition of PaaS, which is Platform as a Service, and the various software components that may be linked or integrated with PaaS so that you can take advantage of those software services. Then we formally defined PaaS application server, which is really a platform where you can deploy your applications, so you don't really have to worry about the actual environment. You only concentrate on your business logic. As part of that particular section, we looked at the various capabilities that a PaaS application server vendor that provides PaaS application server in the cloud may offer as services to us. In this section, we are going to look at the various PaaS providers. And as part of the various PaaS providers, we are going to look at various PaaS application server and services providers. We're not going to look at all the services, but we'll look at some of the important services and see who's offering what, so that it'll help us make a decision as to which application server vendor or which PaaS application server vendor we may want to go with. As part of this particular section, we are going to look at 7 major application server vendors. They are AWS with its Elastic Beanstalk service, Google App Engine, Microsoft Azure, Red Hat's OpenShift, Salesforce Heroku, CenturyLink AppFog, and EngineYard. Okay, let's look at AWS. We've been working with AWS primarily as an IaaS platform, but it so happens that AWS also offers a PaaS platform. Of course, the official site for AWS is aws.amazon.com. The backing company is Amazon. The service delivery is both IaaS and PaaS. They offer both the models. When it comes to deployment model, it's only a public cloud model. In other words, you cannot take AWS and run it in your own private enterprise. In terms of languages that they support for application server, they support a variety of languages: Python, Java, PHP, JavaScript, C#, Ruby, and Go, only because they support a variety of platforms and frameworks like Apache, Nginx, Passenger, .NET, Node.js, and Rails. So as you can see, they have a wide variety of choices when it comes to platforms, frameworks, and languages. Relational databases, they support MySQL. They also support PostgreSQL, Oracle, SQL Server, and also their own version of a MySQL compliant database called Aurora. When it comes to NoSQL databases, they support DynamoDB, which is their own proprietary database. When it comes to big data analytics, they have Elastic MapReduce and also Redshift, which is a NoSQL database. DevOps, they have a whole series of products that support DevOps, all the way from code commit, which is your Git repository, to continuous delivery and integration, including code deploy, OpsWorks, and CloudFormation. They also support the asynchronous programming model using something called Worker, which is part of Elastic Beanstalk. They also have queuing, which is the SQS service. They don't really have any formal logging service. Monitoring using CloudWatch, you've seen that. Alerts and notifications using SNS, which is Simple Notification Service. They also have a caching service called ElastiCache, and they have several miscellaneous services, including CloudFront for CDN and Container Engine. These are specialized containers that you can launch, which are Docker containers. Now let's look at Google App Engine. Google is also a PaaS provider besides an IaaS provider. Of course, their official site is cloud.google.com. Backing company is Google. The service delivery model is both IaaS and PaaS. The deployment model is public cloud only, very similar to what AWS is, which means you cannot bring Google App Engine in-house into your enterprise. You have to work in the cloud. When it comes to languages, they support Python, Java, PHP, and Go, which is a language that came from Google. When it comes to platforms and frameworks, Django, Flask, Spring, and Web App 2 are the various platforms and frameworks they support. When it comes to relational databases, they support Cloud SQL, which is a clone of MySQL. There is also NoSQL databases like Bigtable that they offer. Big data analytics, they offer BigQuery and Dataflow for big data analytics. For DevOps, they have something called Deployment Manager. There is no asynchronous programming model. But if you're going to be doing Java programming, it offers threads, so you may want to do that. Queuing, they have PubSub. Logging, they have something called a logging service for logging in your applications. Monitoring, they have a monitoring service. They also have alerts and notifications using something called SendGrid, and you can also hook your applications into what is called deploy hooks. They don't seem to be offering any caching service at this point. They have some other miscellaneous services, like they have Container Engine, they have a translation API, which is a PaaS API, and they also have Prediction API, which is a data API. Microsoft Azure, official site of course is azure.microsoft.com. Backing company is Microsoft. They offer, in terms of service delivery, both the IaaS and PaaS model. The deployment model is public cloud only. In terms of languages, Python, Java, PHP, JavaScript, and C#. In terms of platforms, they have the .NET, of course, because they are Microsoft. They also support Node.js and Rails. When it comes to relational databases, SQL Server. When it comes to NoSQL databases, they have DocumentDB. When it comes to big data analytics, they have HT Insight, which is a version of Apache Hadoop. They also have machine learning, SQL Data Warehouse, and Stream Analytics as some services that are allowing you to do big data analytics. For DevOps, they have something called Visual Studio Online, automation, and operational insights. These are all some of the services that they have. Asynchronous, they have something called Scheduler. For queuing, there's something called PubSub. They don't really seem to be having any logging or monitoring service or alerts and notifications. For caching, they have Redis Cache. When it comes to miscellaneous, they have Search, which is the Lucene Search. They also have Active Directory, media encoding, and CDN services available for your applications. Red Hat, official site is openshift.com. Of course, the backing company is Red Hat. The product is OpenShift. Service delivery is a PaaS-only model. The deployment model is public cloud. So you can go to openshift.com and deploy your applications in the public cloud. But the cool thing is they also offer a private cloud using openshift.org or Enterprise OpenShift, where you can actually bring in the OpenShift software and run it within your cloud environment, within your infrastructure, in your own enterprise. So this is a pretty cool concept. The idea here is that you can have private cloud now. When it comes to languages, they support Java, JavaScript, PHP, Python, Ruby, and Perl. That's because they support a various set of platforms and app frameworks: Java EE, Node.js, PHP, Ruby on Rails, Vertex, app models. When it comes to relational databases, they support MySQL database and Postgres database. NoSQL databases, MongoDB. Big data analytics, there's nothing special there. If you want, you can download Apache Hadoop and install it. DevOps, they have Jenkins and Switchyard. When it comes to asynchronous processing, it's built on top of the Java EE environment. We know that in Java EE, we have something called JMS, which is part of the application server, messaging service. So you could take advantage of that. And the underlying queuing mechanism for that is JBoss AQ. The logging and monitoring, they don't really have any specific services for them, including alerts and notifications, caching, or any other specialized miscellaneous services. One of the greatest advantages of OpenShift is that you can actually download Enterprise OpenShift and run it in your own private enterprise. There is Salesforce's Heroku. Official site is heroku.com. Backing company is Salesforce. That's because heroku.com was acquired by Salesforce. The service delivery model is PaaS-only model, so you have to deploy it in the cloud, your applications. The deployment model is public only. Languages, Python, Java, PHP, Go, and JavaScript. The frameworks, they support Django, Node.js, Rails. Relational databases, PostgreSQL. NoSQL databases are Redis to Go and MongoDB. When it comes to big data analytics, they don't seem to be offering anything special there. DevOps, they have deploy hooks. They also have asynchronous processing, which is something called Scheduler. Queuing using the PubSub product. Logging, they have something called Papertrail log entries. For monitoring, they have New Relic APM. They also have alerts and notifications using SendGrid and deploy hooks. Caching using Memcacher. And they have miscellaneous products like Connect, which is used to integrate with Salesforce because Salesforce is the parent company. CenturyLink AppFog. It so happens that appfog.com was bought by CenturyLink, and so appfog.com has become CenturyLinkCloud.com. So the backing company is CenturyLink. The service delivery model is a PaaS model, but it's built on top of open source Cloud Foundry. The deployment model is public cloud only. The programming model is really a point and click model. They specialize in point and click. So all about WYSIWYG, wizard model. When it comes to databases, they have SQL Server. There is no NoSQL database. There is big data analytics, but it's using point and click wizards for reporting, point and click for DevOps. Asynchronous is also point and click. So there's a lot of point and click kind of idea over here. This is more of a graphical programming model. There's nothing in terms of queuing, logging, monitoring, alerts, caching. When it comes to miscellaneous, it does not really offer a fully functional software development environment. It's more about point and click. So if you're interested in that kind of application building, then you could use CenturyLink AppFog. Then finally, there's EngineYard. Official site is engineyard.com. Backing company is EngineYard. Service delivery is PaaS. But the interesting thing is they're built on top of AWS IaaS. So when you deploy your application into the PaaS environment, it's really running on top of IaaS, which is AWS IaaS. The deployment model is public cloud only. The languages that they support are PHP, Ruby, and JavaScript. The platforms and frameworks are PHP, Server, Rails, and Node.js. Relational database, they support Postgres and MySQL. NoSQL databases, Redis. They don't seem to be offering a whole bunch of services in terms of big data analytics, DevOps, asynchronous, queuing, logging, monitoring, alerts. But they do have caching services, which is Memcached. So what are the best practices for choosing a PaaS platform? You really don't want to jump into the bandwagon just because PaaS is being offered. What you really want to do is examine if PaaS really makes sense for you. You may decide to just take the IaaS platform, install the application servers the way you want it to be installed, and then install your application on top of it. You may want to do that. I do want to tell you that this is not a very mature market, but it's coming along quite well. So the key here is that look at your application product need first, and then examine if PaaS makes sense for you. And if PaaS does make sense for you, then you may want to settle for a portable platform. I wouldn't want to go with something like Google Compute, where it's a very proprietary platform, or the point and click platform that we have, which is part of the AppFog platform. But choose something like Tomcat, Java EE platform, or maybe Node.js JavaScript platform, something that you can run in-house also if the application server vendor, if the cloud platform ever goes out of business. Also, examine security requirement and look for private PaaS options. If you do want to look at private PaaS options, then Red Hat OpenShift is not a bad idea. In summary, there are many PaaS providers in the marketplace. We looked at 7 of the PaaS providers. As part of this particular class, we're going to go with AWS. And so we're going to be using the AWS Elastic Beanstalk for our application server. And within that, we have several options. We can go with Apache or Node.js, or we can go with Tomcat. And we will be looking at Tomcat for Java application development. There are many different offerings, as you notice. There is public only. There's also private or public offerings. There's proprietary platform versus the open source platform. There's also PaaS only versus PaaS and IaaS platform. One of the things I like about AWS is that AWS Beanstalk offers PaaS, but it's actually built on their own IaaS. And so they actually allow you to kind of stoop below into the IaaS and take a look at how things are being organized. That's something that I like, because now you can actually take a look under the hood of how your PaaS offering is organized, which is really nice. Maturity and consistency of PaaS is not there yet, so you may want to pick carefully.